Hey, what's up everyone? Paul from Grand House Fun House, and it is once again that sweet time of year when the FANTASIA Film Festival, one of the big, if not biggest genre cinema festival in the world, happening right here in beautiful downtown Montreal from July 20th to August 9th, comes back to delight us all with a lineup of about 120 features, 200 plus shorts of horror, sci-fi, comedies, action, weird Japanese movies, retro movies, all for their 27th edition. For this top 10 picks video, which are all my personal picks, which I'm basing solely on the trailers I've watched and the synopsis I've read, I'm splitting this video into two parts. First part being all the new releases, a lot of them world premieres they'll be showing that I'm very excited to see, and the retro movies I get to see on the big screen thanks to FANTASIA, which is always a big part of my experience each year. I'll also mention a few special events you should add to your schedule. Stay until the end of the video where I'll give you all the information needed on when and where to buy your tickets and all other useful information you may need. Alright, so strap in, get yourself a snack and a cool drink. Here's my top 10 picks in no particular order of movies to watch at this year's FANTASIA Film Festival. First up is Divinity, a retro-futurist black-and-white sci-fi thriller from director Eddie Alcazar. Set in a barren future wasteland, scientist Sterling Pierce, played by Scott Bakula, dedicated his life to the quest for immortality, slowly creating the building blocks of a groundbreaking serum named Divinity. Jackson Pierce, played by Stephen Dorff, now controls and manufactures his father's once benevolent dream. Two mysterious brothers arrive with a plan to abduct the mogul, and with the help of a seductive woman played by Bella Thorne named Nikita, they will be set on a path hurtling towards true immortality. Produced by Steven Soderbergh, so that's a vote of confidence right there to give it a try. It was shot in black and white 16mm style. It is going for a retro-futuristic aesthetic, which is totally right up my alley. Also, the score is done by DJ Muggs, he of Cypress Hill, which I'm sure gives the movie an extra layer of griminess and feels like the perfect fit for this kind of project. By attending this screening, you could very possibly be on the ground floor of seeing a future cult classic midnight movie in the making. The screening will be held at Theatre Hall Saturday, July 22nd at 9:45 p.m. 8 Eyes is the first in-house production from Blu-ray label Vinegar Syndrome under the banner Vinegar Syndrome Pictures, in collaboration with Joe Bob Briggs, whose last appearance at FANTASIA was back in 2019 for his fantastic How Redneck Saved Hollywood multimedia lecture. The movie is about a couple at the breaking point of their dysfunctional marriage taking a trip through former Yugoslavia in an attempt to mend their relationship. After meeting a mysterious local who eagerly offers to be their guide, the couple embark on an impromptu sightseeing expedition. However, they become increasingly disturbed by their guide's unsettling fixation on them as they soon find themselves trapped in a nightmarish descent where supernatural forces threaten their lives. From first-time writer-director Austin Jennings, this too was shot on 60mm film to give it the grit needed for this kind of story and was filmed entirely in Serbia and Macedonia. The movie is inspired by Eastern European genre cinema and American regional horror film of the 70s and features a score by Morricone Youth. You'll have two chances to catch a screening of 8 Eyes, first one being Friday, August 4th at 9:35 p.m. at SAG-AFTRA de Sèvres, and then on Sunday, August 6th at 11:45 a.m. also at SAG-AFTRA de Sèvres. Every year at FANTASIA, I try to include one documentary in my viewing schedule, if not more. This year is no different. This time around, I went for Satan Wants You. For those who might not be old enough to remember, there was a fuel hysteria created by a memoir published in 1980 by Michelle Smith and Lawrence Pazder titled Michelle Remembers, which became a huge bestseller that ignited the satanic panic movement of the 80s. The book was about the trauma Michelle Smith talked about with her psychiatrist Lawrence Pazder, who later became her husband, as a victim of a devil-worshipping and baby-sacrificing cult. Through recovered memory therapy, which was later discredited, it was backed by the Catholic Church and legitimized by law enforcement. They were all over the daytime talk show circuit, becoming experts at peddling paranoia, conspiracy theories, disinformation, fear, and distrust, which left a trail of wrongful convictions and ruined lives. This documentary shares never-before-heard audio recordings of the Paris therapy sessions and interviews with Smith and Pazder's family members. It digs into the roots of moral panics and cult conspiracies, showing how these events still affect and distort our reality today. A great fit for FANTASIA and really a can't-miss screening, which will be held at SAG-AFTRA de Sèvres Monday, July 31st at 9:25 p.m. The one big action movie I'm pretty excited to watch at Fantasia this year is for Farang, also known as Mayhem in North America, which is about a professional boxer who's about to get released from prison. While on parole, his past catches up with him and he has no choice but to flee. 5 years later, he has rebuilt a simple life on an exotic island in Thailand with his wife and her daughter. But when he gets blackmailed by a dangerous local godfather, he must take on a dangerous drug smuggling mission, which results in a tragedy. Now he has only one purpose: to seek merciless vengeance. This trailer is giving me some of the Raid and of course John Wick's vibes, and when it comes to action movies, John Wick has become the standard bearer of the last decade when it comes to these kind of action movies with vengeance as its theme. Now let's see if Farang comes close quality-wise to that. Directed by SAG-AFTRA, whose last trip at Fantasia was in 2007 with his Nazi cannibal movie Frontiers, but since then he's directed Hitman with Timothy Olyphant and a few Gangs of London's episode created by The Raid's Gareth Evans. So there's a good chance we'll get a pretty kick-ass movie out of Farang, aka Mayhem. Your one chance to see it is at Theater Hall Tuesday, August 8th at 9:15 p.m. When's the last time you thought about Heather Graham? Not like that, you perverts. Nah, I'm just kidding, you can. But also remember her in a movie you liked. Been a while, eh? Well, that drop might be over because Suitable Flesh might be her ticket back in. In it, she plays a well-respected psychiatrist who wrote a book on out-of-body experiences. After a young patient played by Judah Lewis shows up at her office seeking help, she becomes obsessed with his case and the young man himself. Unbeknownst to her, this visit leads to his murder and a downward spiral of sex, possession, and death as she tries to piece together the mystery of the beast that she becomes involved with. It's an adaptation of one of H.P. Lovecraft's stories, The Thing on the Doorstep, directed by Joe Lynch, whose last appearance at Fantasia was in 2017 with Mayhem, starring Stephen Yeun and Samara Weaving, and is scripted by longtime Stuart Gordon's collaborator Dennis Paoli. In fact, it's a movie Gordon apparently tried to get off the ground 20 years ago. And this is pretty much a loving tribute to the late great Stuart Gordon, and movies he's done of that gory, kinky ilk like Reanimator and From Beyond, both of which starred Barbara Crampton, who's in this, and also Bruce Davidson and Jonathan Sheck. Joe Lynch and Miss Crampton will be in attendance for the showing of Suitable Flesh at Theater Hall Saturday, August 5th at 10 p.m. Fantasia's local darlings RKSS are back this year, closing out the festival with their new horror opus. First they gave us Turbo Kid, then it was Summer of '84, and now they're unleashing their third cinematic adventure with We Are Zombies, which is based on Jerry Frisson and Guy Davis' cult comic book series Les Zombies qui ont mangé le monde, translated to The Zombies That Ate the World. It's about 3 slackers living in a city infested with the living impaired, aka non-cannibal zombies, who's after easy money, must fight small-time crooks and an evil mega corporation to save their kidnapped grandma. Directed and written by François Simard, Anouk Weissel, and Johann Carl Weissel, the Triforce behind RKSS or Roadkill Superstar. It also brings back Turbo Kid cinematographer Jean-Philippe Bernier and production designer Sylvain Lemaitre, and scored by local electro synthwave duo Le Matos. And if you're a big fan of Turbo Kid like I am, you know that Le Matos score is very much part of Turbo Kid's DNA. The fact that they are back scripting this new movie, which they did for Turbo Kid but not for Summer of '84, will surely bring back their own sweet vision and take on colorful characters, cartoonish gore, and a healthy dose of black humor. Definitely a great way to bring this year's edition of Fantasia to a close. The screening will be held at Theater Hall Wednesday, August 9th at 6:30 p.m. And lastly, for the 2023 movie offerings, you can't go wrong with a Nick Cage movie at Fantasia, which many has been shown over the years, from Mandy to Prisoners of the Ghostland, and last year's showing of his best with Face Off. This time around, it's for Sympathy for the Devil, a psychological thriller about a man only known as the Driver, played by Joel Kinnaman, who finds himself in the high-stakes game of cat and mouse after being forced to drive a mysterious man, the Passenger, played by Cage. As their white-knuckle ride progresses, it becomes clear that not everything is as it seems. I think it's fair to say that we're past the point now of Nicolas Cage being in his career renaissance and him just being fully back. And for this one, it seems like we're getting a classic crazy rage Cage mode performance.
Sit back down!
Not only will this be the world premiere of Sympathy for the Devil, but this will also be when Nicolas Cage will receive the Cheval Noir Career Award for his lifetime awesomeness of being Nicolas Cage. This will probably be the most popular screening at Fantasia this year, so I would suggest you buy your tickets for it right away. It's gonna go down at Theater Hall Saturday, July 22nd at 6:45 p.m. Now on to the retro movies, and there's quite a few of them this year. The 3 I chose, first 2 are from right here in Quebec. And the third one is a filthy Italian movie. First one being 1976 East End Hustle, an exploitation movie I had no clue existed until now that could very well have been shown in the 42nd Street Theater and was shot entirely here in Montreal. Canadian International Pictures, one of Vinegar Syndrome's partner labels, who's been doing the Lord's work, releasing all those kind of exploitation movies in the last year and a half, with many more releases to come, like East End Hustle. It's about a group of prostitutes who rely on each other to revolt against their sinister pimps. It's sleazy, grindhousey, revenging good times. What more do you want? Directed by Frank Vitali, who also directed Montreal, Maine and Rubber Gun, and stars a future movie director in Alan Moyle, who went on to direct your favorite 90s teen movies like Pump Up the Volume and Empire Records. Or for the more refined connoisseurs out there, The Gun in Betty Lou's Handbag, which is pure cinema.
Until she confessed to a murder she didn't commit.
Screening will be held at Cinémathèque Québécoise Friday, July 28th at 6:30 p.m. Then we have Les Chiens Chauds, or Hot Dog Cops, a.k.a. the Cleanup Squad, a.k.a. Under the Cover Cops, a.k.a. Cops and Other Lovers. The 1980 Québécois comedy from Claude Fournier, one of our most horny movie directors of the 70s. He was behind such maple syrup porn classics like 1970's Deux Femmes en Or and 1974's La Pomme, la Queue et les Pépins. This is about Mr. Clean, played by porn star Harry Reams of Deep Throat fame, who's a police detective heading a special task force of the Montreal Vice Squad. Clean's by-the-book attitude makes him none too popular with his underlings, so they try to fake a sex scandal that will cause him to be fired from the force. We have big Québécois stars at the time in the cast like Gilles Latulippe, Jean Lapointe, Paul Berval, and Daniel Pilon. This is the movie when Harry Reams went legit for a while after running into trouble with the American justice system. It's him, in fact, who suggested this idea for this movie to Claude Fournier, who he met at an event. This was produced by Cinepix John Dunning and André Link, and I can't wait to watch this time capsule on the big screen. Sadly, Claude Fournier passed away back in March, but regardless, him and his screenwriting partner Marie-Josée Raymond will receive the Denis Héroux Award for their lifetime work in Québécois cinema at this screening. This will be shown at the Cinémathèque Québécoise Monday, August 7th at 6:30 p.m. And my last pick is for one of the sleaziest 70s exploitation movie, and that will be 1977's Emanuelle In America, directed by one of the sleaziest movie directors of that time. Come on down, Joe D'Amato. It's about fearless investigative photojournalist Emanuelle, played by the drop-dead gorgeous Laura Gemser, going undercover to expose the depraved sex lives of the wealthy elite. Chasing her latest scoop, she uncovers a Zodiac-themed brothel, illegal arms trafficking, an art forgery racket, and more. Her investigation will take her from the streets of New York to the canals of Venice, to Caribbean beaches as she tracks down corrupt government officials, and most shockingly, a ring of perverts peddling snuff films. As you may know, Italians love to rip off concepts from other popular movies, and when they saw those French Emanuelle movies making money, it didn't take long, a year later in fact, for the Black Emanuelle series of movies to be born. There are a few memorable scenes you'll get to see in Emanuelle In America, one being a love story between a woman and her horse, and that's something you can't unsee. There's also a part of the story that involves a snuff film that looks pretty damn real, like Joe D'Amato went above and beyond trying to recreate the real thing that is very unsettling. Severin Films is behind the screening, and for obvious reasons, because 3 days prior, on July 25th, they will have released a massive 15-disc Blu-ray box set, The Sensual World of Black Emanuelle. Also at the screening, we'll get to see a 20-minute documentary by Kiera Janice, who's behind the box set at Severin, titled The Reluctant Icon, a tribute to Laura Gemser, which is based on a rare interview Laura Gemser did these many years ago. This midnight screening will go down at Salle Gia de Sèvres, Friday, July 28th at 11:55 p.m. There's a few special events I want to mention. One is an artist talk with Charles Band. If you don't know who Charles Band is, he probably was behind one of your favorite B-movies of the 80s. He ran Empire International Pictures in the 80s and still is running full moon features to this day. 50 years in the business and 300 feature films later, he'll be at Fantasia talking about it all, with Fangoria and Rumor's Michael Gingle at the helm, so it should be quite an interesting conversation, which you'll get to see at Cinéma du Musée Saturday, July 22nd at 4 p.m. And then, not only will RKSS premiere their new movie, We Are Zombie at Fantasia, they will also give us a masterclass guiding us through their career, let us know how they got shit done. This could be quite an education for aspiring filmmakers out there, or just a fun interview with our local genre cinema heroes. This masterclass will go down at the York Amphitheater Friday, July 28th at 3 p.m. So that is it. That was my top 10 picks for the 27th edition of the Fantasia Film Festival. Hopefully some, if not all those picks will get added to your schedule. I've posted the Fantasia website links to all the movies and events I've talked about and a link to a PDF schedule, which can be very handy in the description below. You can also get your hands on the printed program, which will be available at Fantasia headquarters and a few stores in and around the Montreal area on Friday, July 14th. As for the tickets, they will go on sale the next day, Saturday, July 15th at 1 p.m. at the ticket office of the SGWU Alumni Auditorium, which is one of the Concordia University buildings located on Maisonneuve Boulevard in downtown Montreal. You can also get tickets through the Ticket Pro network, but the best deal for you is to buy them directly at the Fantasia box office. So if you want to save a few dollars, I would head over there. Go visit all my socials at Grindhouse Funhouse in the comment section below. Let me know your Fantasia picks for this year. I'd love to know. Maybe some of your picks will convince me to go check them out. Do enjoy this year's edition with all your fellow movie lovers and cat meowers. Thank you for watching, and I'll say to you, ciao bye for now.